Okay guys, I have the famous GM problem where some of the lights go out on the cluster. I already fixed this a couple weeks before, but there was a couple light bulbs I didn't replace because they were working at that time. This is one of them, the one for the oil pressure, and right here in the speedometer, the very first one right here, there's times that it goes out and there's times that it works fine. Like right now, it's the speedometer is working fine, that one's not. Okay, so I seen videos where whoever's instructing you guys how to do it, they tell you to put tape on the gauges and all this stuff. Well, I didn't use any of that, and there's a simple reason. When you open the ignition, there's a couple gauges that go up. The fuel, depending on how much fuel you have, the volts, because the battery is active. However, when your car is cold, see, that one's up and that one's up. My temperature is cold because my truck is cold and I want it to be cold, and I'll tell you why. Anyways, so you turn off the ignition, and all of them go back to zero. Okay, that's where you want it. Why? Because when you put it together, what I did, I plugged it in on the back, I opened the ignition to make sure everything got reset to zero, and I put the needles here while the cluster was here without this cover. So then I know my gauges were fine. Then I tested the needles by opening the ignition and making sure that it went back to where it was supposed to go. Okay, right now the gas is up because I have gas, the battery, once again. But once I remove it, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll turn it off after I put the needles back on, and everything should be on zero. You see, speedometer, RPMs, oil pressure, battery, everything should be right on zero when you put them back on. And there's no need for marking or anything. Okay, I verify this, I verify that, I verify this with my scanner. I have a scanner that I use to do repairs, and on the scanner it tells me how many RPMs, and I compare it, and yeah, and it's identical. Whatever it's reading on the needle, that's what I'm reading on the computer itself. So there's no need to marking. I'm gonna take it apart right now from scratch. Hopefully it helps out some of the guys that have issues with it, and I'll point out the light bulbs I use and where did I get them in a little bit. I'll be back, guys. Squeeze on this. You're gonna squeeze on this tap. It comes right out. See? Now I have the cluster. Now you gotta take it apart and do the rest. I'll show you guys once I'm welding it and testing it. All right? I'll be back. Okay, so I'm gonna start taking it apart, and what I'm using, it's at 7mm socket, the regular driver. You got one screw right here, and there's another one on this side, but I already took it out. And then you come to the bottom, and there's 3 more right here. Actually it's 2 of them. This thing just clips on after you remove the 2 bolts right here and right there. You just pull it down and it comes right out. Okay, so Then on this area, I believe you just pull it. I don't think it has anything else, at least that I remember. Oh no, actually it does have a couple more screws. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. And it's the same socket, number 7 socket. And it's got another one on this side. Okay, got them out. Now this thing comes right out. Okay, now from here, you gotta remove this one right here, and it's got another one on this side, okay? And it's the same size, 7 mil. Okay, and there's 2 more. There's one right here. And there's another one on that side. But remember, the short ones go on top. So when you put it back together, you know where they go. I didn't disconnect the battery or anything. I just did it that way, like this, and I didn't have any problems. Okay, then you put the steering column down, and this one should pop right out. Oh shit, something broke. Uh-oh, that broke. But didn't break right now. Must have broke when I put it back in. Must have put it too tight, I guess. Okay. So now that you're here, the cluster has a couple of screws right here. Look at it. I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit more. Well, I can't zoom in, but there's one right there. There's another one right here. One more right here. And the other one here on the bottom. It's a plain Phillips. I don't like leaving my radio on or or the keys on the ignition at all, because a while back I had a problem with one of my actuators for the AC. I changed the battery, and this thing was on when I changed the battery. So when I plugged it back in, I somehow I moved it, I guess, before I calibrated itself, and it made a mess. Bottom line, I had to remove the whole dashboard in order to fix that actuator that went out on me. Anyways, we're not working on that right now, so that's a different story. Okay, that's 3 out. There's one more right here. Hopefully the license plates for my other cars are not coming out. There's a lot of cycles online. Anyways, if it does come out, I'll try to edit it. Okay. All of the screws are out already. So now right here in the back, oh shit, it's just 2 plugs. Right here, you're just gonna. Okay, now it's time to take it apart. We gotta remove the back part, this back part, and I use this right here. I just lift it up right here a little bit, and it comes right up. Okay, so the back part is out. Now I need to remove the front part, because as you guys can see, I cannot take it out if the needles are there. So actually, I don't think I was supposed to remove the back part. No, actually I do, because I need the board by itself. Okay. Anyways, so you're just gonna push down on this tabs right here, all around, and it comes right out. I'm just using my fingers. I'm not using any special tool or anything. Okay. See? So now I got my glass out, and I got all the cluster by itself. Okay. I'll put this out of the way. Now I gotta take the needles out, all these needles out. And the way I do it, I use this right here. But I put something underneath so I don't scratch my board. Like this. See? It should come right out. That's how it came out the other day. See? One out. Two out. Okay, so they're all out. Now I can take this thing out. And this is my speedometer. These are the RPMs, speedometer. This is the oil pressure. So I know all of these are working good, but this one right here is the one acting up. And so I have to check, because I believe I replaced it the last time, so I just think it's not welded right. That's all it is. I don't know if I can zoom in enough so you guys can actually see, but I have these and I use this as well. So I don't know, perhaps I can magnify. No, I can't do it. Anyways, so I have to check the soldering with this. But for these I have to turn off the camera a little bit because I gotta get close with my my eye loop. I also have my welder ready. I turned it on since I went to go take apart the dashboard, so it'll be nice and hot by the time I'm ready to start welding, if any. Or if I have to replace the light bulb, I have new light bulbs. Okay, those are light bulbs that were left from the last time I worked on it. I didn't replace this one. It was working at that time, so I thought it was okay. Anyways, so I'll check it out and I'll show you guys once I get it going. Okay, I already worked on the two light bulbs that were giving me problem, which was this one for the oil pressure, and then that one that was from speedometer. Those were new, but I guess I didn't solder them correctly, so I was having problems. So now what I'm gonna do, before I put everything together, I'm gonna hook it up and test it to make sure they're turning on like the way they're supposed to. And the way I do that, I'll just bring my board. And I already plugged it. I plugged it in already. Okay, so I'm just gonna open the ignition, make sure they turn on. See? Now it's turning on. They're both turning on. Speedometer and the oil pressure. They're both working fine. So I know everything's good. So as I mentioned earlier, all these gauges, they should be on 0 right now, because I showed you guys earlier that when you open the ignition, everything goes back to 0, right? Oh, Okay, that light's not working because that's for something else. Okay, that's I can't remember what that is for, but the light's good. It's just it's not turning on when I open ignition, but everything else is working. Actually this one, I just see this one's not working right. Look at it, I touch it and it works. So now that I have it open, I can work on it. I didn't realize that one was out. Okay, at least I know what I gotta work on. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, now it's time to put everything back together. I know that very last light that I fixed is good, so we're just gonna put everything back where it's supposed to be. You can't miss it because this thing right here, it kind of guides you because it only goes in one way, so you can't miss it. And then just go to the back part. And it also has clips, so okay. So I got all of this already put together. I'm gonna go test it out, make sure everything lights up the way it's supposed to, and this is the time that I put the needles in. Okay, I'll show you how I put the needles. As you guys can see, my phone is acting up, so excuse me for that. Actually, it's not my phone, it's a stupid camera. I don't know what's really going on, but anyways. Let me try it. Log in again, hopefully. It's still recording. Okay, I'm gonna check, make sure that the very last one that I was touching was flickering. It's working now. Okay, so let's see. See, now the light's on. So all of the lights are on the way it's supposed to be. So I should be good to go. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, all the gauges are on 0 right now with the ignition open. So what I do, I just put it slowly so I know it's on 0. So once I get it right on 0, I kind of push it just to hold it in place, and it's not gonna move no more because it's kind of hard. I mean, I didn't push it all the way down the way I was supposed to, but I'll go with the next one. Okay, that one's right on 0, as you guys can see. And I haven't pushed it in yet. Okay, right on 0. And then I turn off the ignition, so the bolts and everything else goes back down to 0. So then I know all of them are on 0. So I just gotta look at the right angle to make sure it's right at 0. Okay. Okay, on that one, I don't know if I moved it or not, but I'm just gonna open it just in case. Okay, it's not pushed in. Okay, it's loose. The gas one is loose. Okay, But since when I put it, I kind of like moved it, so I want to make sure that it's on 0. Then I turn it off. You see, it went past the 0. So then I know it's not lining up right. So I just take it out. And I put it right on 0 without forcing the bottom pin. Okay, so it should be on 0 now. I haven't pushed it all the way in case that I need to remove it. See, it goes up. It's got to stop right at 0. See, stop right at 0. Actually, I think I passed it a little bit. So I'm gonna take it out because I want it to be right at empty. It's still loose. I open ignition again. I close it, and it went back down to 0. Okay, now this time I'm gonna push it all the way down because I'm sure it's at 0, and I'll test that out. Okay, it went up. It's gotta be right at 0. Oh shit, I missed it for a little bit. Anyways, I can always take it out and redo it again. But all of them are on 0. And you just do the rest the same. And just do the rest, and then you just put that cover back on and you're done.